character's like full name is Elias Vier. It's like a different like sliver of my character, things I want my character to be. So it's like you can be more brave in like a mask, you know, be more truthful like in a mask, the whole Oscar Wilde thing, than you can, you know, presenting yourself. So it's like I feel more comfortable being more personal, like without the guise of like identity. And then in my personal life, can feel like shit.
It's easier to express yourself when you can kind of hide behind something like that.
Fuck yeah, bro.
Which is why I love this beard.
Yeah.
I like something to hide behind.
It's not working.
No, I see what you're saying. I feel exposed when I shave my beard off. Like, I feel like people are seeing me more, which they are. But I feel
and perhaps that's why the whole trend with guys growing beards right now to be masculine is like a metaphor for like guys have to mask their feelings. They can't be presented soft and sensitive.
Maybe. It's not so much that. It's just... Well, it kind of is.
Atheists with issues.
That's
the name of my next record.
Yeah,
Calling it now. Odds are good.
Or like a foundation or something.
Sure.
Support group.
A support group.
A hotline or some shit.
Support group for people who follow my music. I don't know what they're called.
Yeah.
I won't call them fans. You have to be more dramatic about it.
Yeah.
Right. So there's like deadheads, and there's, you know, well, that's not what I can think of right now.
No.
But yeah, it's like, you know, like fan bases have that name sometimes. Oh, like Slipknot with the whole the maggots thing. Like they have like a name to sort of like militarize their fans, and I don't have one of those, and I need to figure one out.
Yeah, like Coheed and Cambria have the Children of the Fence, which is like a reference to the comic books and shit. One among the fence is a lyric and shit. Anyway, but I see what you're saying.
It'd be a great name for a fence installation company, by the way, for anyone listening who's an entrepreneur.
Children of the Fence?
No.
One among the fence?
Yeah, one of a fence.
I like that. Or like a tagline for them.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
All right, I'm in. I've actually wanted to write jingles forever. Like, you know, like make up a, you know, Home Depot's like, here's $20,000 to make us a 15-second song. It's like, Home Depot.
Yeah.
And, you know, and then that's like your song and you got paid way too much money to make that. Like, licensing for commercials is how a lot of bands make a lot of their money now, and it's like, you know, your song is in a, you know, BMW commercial and you get like $400,000. It's like crazy.
Shit.
Like, you can't afford not to do it.
No, I understand. Like, you told me a story about the guy from Montreal.
Mm-hmm.
Did the Outback Steakhouse.
Yeah, the whole, which he totally, like, regrets. Well, he sort of accepts it now, too. But, yeah, it's, like, how a lot of bands will get, like, their first big money, like, and, you know, all those car commercials and stuff use, like, indie music because they know they can get those artists for way cheaper than they can get, like, Bruce Springsteen or, you know, whatever the fuck. And so, like, they save mad amounts of money and, like, indie bands get, you know, a huge influx of funds and can, you know, flourish. It's weird how that works. There was a song on my last record, the last one, Unfamiliar Optimistic View, that when it was in like the demo stage, it was called Nissan because I was like, this is the song that would sell to the car commercial, you know?
For sure, I know.
To look all connected with the youth and shit, like, oh yeah, we know who Fall Out Boy is. What's up?
Yeah,
but we also sell cars.
Definitely has more of a like punk, like pop punk feel to it.
Right.
I know that guy used it for something, or will in the future, for sure.
I even say the word fuck in it, and it's still the best. They'll leave it in there for me. They'll leave it in there. That's how good it is. They'll pass it through.
Nice.
It will lead to a revolution and a renaissance of cursing on television.
I believe it. Hell,
You have to dream big.
Yeah.
Right.
Someday we'll have that fucking freedom.
Not in Donald Trump's America. Relevant.
What made you start? What possessed you to, was it friends?
No, I didn't have any. That's what possessed me to start. And that's why all my music is like solo. I didn't have any friends, so I just did everything myself. Like I learned how to do what I needed to do physically to make the songs happen. But I'd always wanted to make music, and like I had like pretend bands. Like I would make a like website for a band that really wasn't real that I was in, and like put up like lyrics to songs and shit, like which were just basically poems that I wrote, and they were really bad. And just because I guess I always like the feeling of being a band, but when you're like 11 years old and like you don't have any musical experience or equipment or whatever, it's like, how are you going to learn? So I just like faked it.
Yeah.
It's a big metaphor because nothing has changed. I'm still faking all of this.
Yeah.
It's true.
What do you mean? What do you mean by fake it?
Like I just like you. I would have I'd make a website for a band with that I was one of the members. Get my friend's permission basically to use their name. Oh yeah, my friend Dylan at school plays drums because he said one time he had hit a drum set at his uncle's house, and so you just make these fake bands that you dreamed in your head were real. Like the people would read the words to lyrics like bad poems I'd written and like feel like music made me feel and stuff. And so it was really, I think I like the idea of that more than the idea of actually doing it. I think I still like it more than the idea of actually doing it.
Because it's kind of like you're just living in like a little fantasy. You know what
Still
I mean?
true.
Yeah. Well, I'm not saying that you live in a fantasy, but I'm
No.
saying like for a fake band,
You're
it's
observing
a
that I'm living in a fantasy. Documenting for the record.
No. It's cool though. Like it's like it's like being a kid again. Like you have an imagination. Like as you get older, you kind of lose your imagination over time. Like you have to
Right.
be artful in order to keep that mentality. Really.
Right.
So it's a good thing,
I hope
Really?
so. I
in
don't
my
like
opinion.
that. I don't like when, kind of as you get older, you're just like, this shit works, this shit works, this shit works. It's never been better than all the shit I got, so, fuck the new shit.
For sure.
It truly is.
We never really introduced ourselves. I guess
Yeah.
we're here. It's you know me. I'm Mark. This is Micheal Kubiak, aka Koob.
And
we have-
I am Elias Vier. Why am I saying up here? Elias Vier of Elias And The Error.
there you have it, and he's.
Doing things.
You
with
are
a
indeed.
THANGS.
You said you're recording a new album,
Yeah. Yeah, I am.
and you're doing a tour.
Yes.
Yes. Would you
I'm
like
excited.
to elaborate, sir?
Yeah.
Well,
We're gonna stuff everything that you need to perform into my shitty Honda Civic and go play for people who don't give a fuck.
damn.
And their attitude will match mine. That's combative. I'm going into combat state.
I guess you kind of have to, don't you?
Right. Yeah, but no, it's I'm super excited just because what I want to do most is be on the road. Like if I could make our one record a decade and then just tour all the time and be doing new live stuff, that would be like the dream come true.
No, I don't doubt that at all.
Performance is way better than writing and recording to me. I think it's all a vessel for me to be able to perform in like a dramatic way or something. It's probably a really good metaphor for it.
No, I like it.
It gives me permission to just be fucking weird, and I don't really need anyone else to enable. Like it's not like, I can't be an actor by myself and act in a show, but I can do music by myself and act in a show.
Live by your own rules.
My own rules?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, live by my own rules. You gotcha. Yeah. Yeah, totally.
No.
Makes me sound so fucking cool, like I should be in fluorescent neon riding a skateboard.
One of those little hoverboards.
No, man, fuck those hoverboards.
Yeah, I'd bust my ass on those things.
I saw a great thing online. It was a person using one of those like old people lifts that goes up the stairs, and it's like, I see your hoverboard and show you my jetpack. It's like not even close to the same thing.
Yeah.
It's like surfing and being like, yep, you're skiing. Not quite.
Those things really, they're just segways without handlebars to me.
Yeah.
That's all it is.
It's nothing
not
new.
a hoverboard.
Now that poor people can afford them, it's something new.
Yeah, for sure. So much so. that they're filming
Hashtag
everything.
Donald Trump face.
There you go.
Shit's fucking crazy.
Well, when does the tour start, sir?
The last week of March, like March 28th. It's the last Sunday in March. We're here, and then it goes Canton to Pittsburgh to Columbus to Cincinnati, Indianapolis, Chicago, Kent, and then the last show is a hometown show because it's my birthday
Nice.
that last day. And I think that show should be at the Oracle.
Nice. The first show is at the Buzzbin. Then.
Yes, the tour opener is at Buzzbin,
Nice.
which is a better place to play in terms of performance, just because the place has a divier feel. People are looser there, but not necessarily the best like in the technical department. Little noisy there.
Mm-hmm.
I gotcha. Is
That's
for
punk.
people who may not know all these things, is there a place they can go to find out this information?
Yeah,
Website?
I mean, everybody has Facebook, and Facebook is probably where we're most active, so just the band name on Facebook. And then our website is untimelymedia.com, which it used to be eliasandtheerror.com, but like I forgot to pay the bill basically on the domain, and in that time someone purchased the right to the name and now just has like a bunch of like ad spam on there.
Oh, wow.
Like really, like me, like you can't that fuck like I got like 300 visitors a month. Like what's that gonna make you to make the $15 you pay for the license worth it? So
Yeah.
I tried to sue the guy like legitimately, but it cost like $1,800 to file the motion. I'm like,
It's not even worth it.
sorry, wasn't a good pay this week.
Yeah. That's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's crazy. So yes, so I like I have legal right to be like, that interferes with my business, and that's in bad faith. You're buying that domain because people are going to go there, and then that way you can make them see your shit. It's technically illegal, but like, did you have to like pay some crazy fines to like file the motion? It's weird.
Yeah, no, it doesn't seem really worth it to me. Just
Nope.
to go with Untimely Media is probably a better choice.
Yeah. And that too in the future can be more of an umbrella for like other creative stuff that I do outside of this and friends bands and so forth, and so it can be more of a conglomerate sort of thing. Little community.
Gotcha, like a whole little network.
Sure.
Cool. When should the new stuff be out or ready to hear?
At the end of March we're going to do an EP for the tour, and then in July there'll be the full length record out, because we're kind of rebuilding like the show completely from the ground, and we didn't want to have to like divide our time between like show time and like album time. So it's like, let's just focus on making the show really good for the tour, and then we can give ourselves less pressure on the record. So yeah, a little EP with some new stuff in March, and then full album in July.
Cool. Coop, you had some queries, didn't you, sir?
Well, you actually covered. I wanted to know where you got Elias from.
I honestly have no idea. In fact, for a minute, I think I thought it was an 100% like original name, like I just come up with it, and of course, like then not realizing that it's like a biblical name, and it's like a Latin name, and it's like a Eastern European name, and so yeah, I guess I thought I was like the originator of it. It was like when I was like 15 years old. But no, it already existed in like 4 different cultures, so I must have heard it somewhere. It's in the Bible, so like I'm sure it's come up.
Does that tag along with the error, or is that a separate
I just had to think of something because I only had the first name at the time. Like the surname for the character was not yet existent, so I was like, well, I like alliteration. I think and the band names are cool. And like error doesn't sound necessarily specific to like, oh, this is a person and a band. It's like, no, this is a person and like in my eyes the error is like the art collective part of it, which is people who do visual stuff and performance stuff that makes it more multifaceted rather than just a guy recording songs.
I gotcha. So there's like a concept to it all.
Yeah.
It is,
More of a presentation, I guess.
Do you have like give us a little, I guess, synopsis
Of the of the performance aspect of it.
Well, just the whole concept behind the name and everything.
Well, yeah, I guess. So have the name of the character, and then the second half being like, well, what if instead of like, Johnny and the Rottens would be Johnny and 5 dudes called the Rottens. It's like, and the error is not necessarily like singular or plural, so it can imply something bigger than just like a backing band. And so it's kind of more like having that just like collective group to present the stuff and make it more than just music, like make it actually like a show and a somewhat more engaging experience, just more multifaceted.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like that's most like a big chunk of it. I'm gonna keep kicking the mic stand. A big chunk of it is like we do like video mapping and live video stuff when we play, and so you take a surface that you can run like a video projector on, and then you only block out certain parts of it, the projection area, to light up those things, and so you can make like like structures and project videos that stop right where that structure stops, and make this really like weird like immersive like 3D experience, and so that's like a big part of it, and why people I think like our show, remember our show. But extends to like music video stuff and like artwork stuff and performance artwork stuff and dog sitting. It's a real job. Probably good for someone like me.
Well, how many hours of drive time are there in between? Well, like, what's going to be your longest drive time between shows? Is it an all-day thing?
No,
Okay.
living in this part of the country is really good because all the major metro areas are only like 2 hours apart. Like, people don't realize like you live out in Texas, you live out in like California, like you don't get to the next city in for like 6 hours.
Yeah.
And so like within 2 hours of us, we can get to Cleveland, we can get to Erie, PA, we can get to Pittsburgh, Youngstown, Columbus, Toledo, like all that stuff. And so Buffalo, New York even is only a 3.5 hour drive. Detroit, blah blah blah, Indianapolis, and so it's like we're so close that you as a little like touring band in that area only have to travel like 2 hours at a time. And so I think our longest drive on the whole tour, well, technically, when we come back from Chicago, we're going from Chicago, Illinois to Kent, Ohio, and that's like a 6 hour drive. But beyond that, everything else is like 2-3 hours.
So just like a bunch of little mini road trips.
Yeah, it makes it way easy because like when you're small as a band, you have to drive yourself, so like you have to sleep and then you have to drive. Whereas when you're rich enough to hire a driver, you're going to the next city while you're sleeping. So you only spend 8 hours of your day traveling and sleeping all together instead of like you sleep for 8 hours and get up and travel for 4. Like that's 12 hours of your day. Touring band shit.
I understand. There's probably a lot that goes into it. It seems pretty difficult in my mind.
Yeah, it's a pain in the ass, but it's worth it. I guess that's why I do it.
No, get your name out there. You get to do what you love to do, play shows.
Act like a fool, actually, is what I love to do, specifically.
Well, that's all in the same, I guess. Right? What's your writing process like, sir?
Get mad enough to write a song, profit. Pretty much. It's I don't know. It's compulsion. I rarely do ever like structure time. Like, all right, sit down for an hour and write. I guess some people do that, and that's crazy to me because it's like I could not write a song for like 7, 8, weeks, 3 months, and then like one day there'll be something that I come home and just like, yep, I have to write a song. Mm-hmm. And it's weird that some people get, I guess, born with that where it's like when you're feeling something, like you create something. Like it's such a bizarre concept when you think about it, but that's where like my brain goes, is like, I'm gonna write a song. And yeah, so it's hard for me to write when I'm not frustrated with something or whatever, because I don't know, there's nothing, it's like people don't say anything when things are good or things are positive, but it's like they definitely talk about everything that's bad.
Yeah.
And that's a lot of it.
No, it's like I understand kind of what you're saying. Sometimes I just get like the overwhelming feeling to create something. I just want to like construct something, like edit a video or
Sure.
something, and you just do it through music or whatnot. For me, it's just generally like, I don't know, maybe I want to draw or I want to record a podcast or something. Like, so I can definitely see where you're coming from there. It's you just happen to do it through music. That's cool. Because like inspiration just comes randomly. You can't control it.
What is your favorite song?
Like, not by me or by me?
By you. And by not by you, I guess.
Right.
Like, who influenced you?
This is kind of an interesting origin story, not something I figured out until recently. But I was like 7 or 8 years old, and I had an uncle who lived in Washington, D.C., and so like me and my brothers and my mom and my grandma wanted to go visit this uncle. And I just remember having this really weird like feeling like after I met him, because I knew he was like an artist and like total like bohemian dude, and like so he'd made all this artwork, and had all these weird paintings, and he had like B-52's albums and like punk albums and all this shit, and just was like the first person I met that was just into like the culture that resonated with me. So I was like, wow, I really got to impress this guy because this motherfucker knows what's cool, like, and so I think after that, I kind of sort of always was driven by that desire to be like, oh man, like, there's cool shit, out there, and like I got to seek it out and, be insular to the people that realize that, REM is awesome or whatever.
Yeah. I don't know if that really, like, what was the question? What's his favorite song?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we all got lost in that.
I was just like,
shit.
does that really it? I don't see how that was an answer to the question. Like, not to be a dick, I was just...
No,
I'm glad that you
stumbled
pointed
into
out.
3 different ideas.
But I see what you're saying.
So that's where my initial desire to create comes from. So it's like, I guess where I was probably going with this is like, my favorite song is like the one that I think would resonate with like, the coolest people the most in a weird way, like would be the most like, oh yeah, man, like this is like weird and like offbeat and like, so, yeah, my favorite song I guess will always be like my weirdest song, and like right now that's a song off of Help Yourself, the 2013 album, and it's just like this crazy like 5-minute like rock opera thing, and it's just so weird and out there and doesn't sound like anything else, and so anytime I can make something that's so like, resonates like super strongly with a specific group of people, I think those are the ones I'm always the most proud of. The simpler ones I'm never as proud of, even if they're popular.
No, I know what song you're talking about. It's very like theatrical, and that's actually one of my favorite ones.
Thank you, I agree. I think it's my favorite. And I know it's one of the ones that just doesn't go over that well live, and so it's like, well, I can't really play this as much if I want people to like me. And we all want people to like us.
See, I imagine that song would be like really good to do live because of how like
the super fans, yeah, like the hardcore are into that, but the casual person at a bar just listening to the band does not want to hear that.
That's true. Somebody that's
the real. Hey, they keep that bar supported though. Keep money floating into Daddy's pocket.
Yeah. You plan on doing any covers on the road? Cover songs?
Man, I would love to do like a different cover song a night. That'd be a big challenge, and we'd have to like retool the show a little bit, like 10 times. But I used to do a lot of covers. Like I used to do "Closer" by 9 Inch Nails, which looking back, that's so funny.
Wow.
I did that a lot.
Actually.
There's a recorded version of it. I have like a whole covers album thing on Bandcamp.
Lawsuits.
Elias in the Error.bandcamp.com. And that one, it's lawsuits and lover suites, because apparently I know what wordplay is. Some 6th grade bullshit. But, yeah, so, like, there's like 15 songs. There's, like, a Prince cover. There's a Smashing Pumpkins cover. Like, it's fucking crazy.
And you're going to play it?
Self-indulgence.
Gwen Stefani! Yeah, that was another good one off there.
Wow.
Yeah, Gwen Stefani cover.
I like it, yeah.
It's that What You Waiting For song, which is an awesome song. Like, her first single that she ever came out was solo.
I can't quite think of it right now, but I'm sure I'd know it if I heard it.
Yeah. And then you insert the song right here. Pow.
Actually, that's probably what I'll do.
Shit, son. Dude, if you just play, like 3 bars of the chorus, people are going to recognize it. Like, oh, yeah, that song. I actually did, like, a live, like, a weird, like, director's commentary thing for the record. Then I put it out as, like, a separate EP. But did that thing where I listened to the whole record, and then it was just me talking over it at certain points and giving commentary. Been thinking about putting that online for people to hear. It's so self-indulgent though, but it's like some people listen to it and like hearing it.
Yeah.
It's literally just like when a director watches their movie and just records them talking over their own movie. It's the same thing.
No, dude, I'm one of those people that I watch those. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The commentaries for certain people, like people I follow or like.
Right.
No, I find that I'm a bonus feature loving guy. I'll buy Blu-ray just for that. Like,
Gives you a bonus feature boner.
For sure.
Yeah, I don't think a lot of bands do that, but I did it because I couldn't afford a therapist. Just had to talk to you.
Oh, that's smart.
That's actually just, again, a metaphor for the whole thing.
I gotcha.
Except I can't afford a therapist because I'm not poor or basic.
What's your recording like? How do you record? Are you completely independent here? Like, do you have a distributor?
Almost. Well, those are kind of 2 different, like, I guess, questions. Because
Yeah.
so in terms of recording, like I do everything myself, and that was like how I started. Is I just learned how to play every instrument I needed to play, program everything I needed to program, record everything I needed to record, like on my own. So I'm like in that, not that I'm as talented, but in that sort of same category, people like Prince or like Trent Reznor from Nine Inch Nails, who are the whole band, and then they just find live players to go out on the road.
Yeah.
And yeah, I don't know exactly why I started like that, but it's how I started and it's how I'm most comfortable, I guess. So I record stuff by myself, just throw as much stuff at the wall, pick what I like, and that goes on the record. But
So is everything on your records? Is that all you, or do you have like people who play certain instruments?
yeah,
or-
there will be like times when just because like maybe I just want a reason to say my friend's on my track, or think someone could lend like a cool talent, I'll be like, yeah, here's this little thing, you can just kind of do whatever you want here, and I'll chop it up and use the good stuff. And so it just made it more interesting for me too, because when you're always working alone, like sort of becomes an echo chamber, and you might pursue the same ideas over and over again because you don't have anyone to like bounce new ideas off of. And so it kind of makes you like rethink some things and go, oh, that's weird that they thought to do that like that. So it helps me see things about arrangements and whatnot, and think a little bit more about like what do my songs sound like to people that aren't me.
No, that's cool. That's a good way to do it. Like it's nice to get outside
Right.
and look in.
Yeah.
I'm mind blown at that. That's amazing.
Yeah.
It's weird. Yeah, I've gotten to work with like people who have no excuse like working with me, just because they want to, I guess. So it's weird. One that I can't say, and I'm literally not going to say it. But there's someone pretty famous, like Billboard, like top 10 famous, that sang on the track Americans, which is a single between the first album and the second album. And they literally recorded, like, I asked them if they would do it because I was a friend of theirs, and they're like, yeah, I'll do it, and they recorded it on their cell phone while they're on tour and sent it to me. And so it's mixed in with me, but I purposely turned this person higher in, like, the left channel to give a clue, but that's all I can say. But yeah, there's someone, like, super famous and, like, talented and, like, critically loved on that song that I can't tell anybody about because they're like, this is like a big deal when I collaborate and put my name on something, it has to be approved by people. So it's like, just do this and tell no one. So I'm saying that it happened, cannot say who.
Okay.
I guess that'll go to the grave with me. So all my fans who outlive me, you'll find out the day I die.
Oh.
And you also find out that I died.
Well, I don't.
I'm sorry to be bringing you this news like this, but I am dead. And it was on the track.
There you have it.
What if the pop was a clue? Dirty Pop.
Oh.
Justin Timberlake.
Oh. Kubiak's a fan.
I am.
Yeah.
Justin Kubiak.
Justin Kubiak.
Michael Timberlake.
He's gonna marry that boy someday.
Hell,
No, I'm just kidding.
he's not that kind of cowboy.
He is in fact a cowboy though, just not that kind.
Yeah.
Who?
You man.
Oh.
You man.
He's a rhinestone cowboy.
I would love to wear rhinestones.
I'm
They're
a
expensive.
cowboy, but on a steel horse I ride.
Wait, is that the Kid Rock one?
That's
I'm a
Bon-
cowboy, baby.
Bon
That's the
Jovi.
kind of
That
cowboy
was-
I am.
Yeah, that
Is-
was Bon Jovi,
I'm a
Bon
Kid
Jovi.
Rock cowboy.
which is slightly better than Kid Rock.
Yeah. It's actually more of a Kid Rock rodeo clown.
Wow, it's a nice way to put it, I guess.
Yeah.
You said
This
you're
is a
writing
chance to get
a new album. Is that
Yes,
just
girl.
because you took the break and have more to come out with?
Oh, yeah. No, that's
Yeah.
exactly it. Like,
Just more through life?
if
that
I
you-
write because of life, I have to live to write more. Whereas, like, that's why every band's first album is better than their second, because they had their entire lives to write album one, and then they had 18 months of new experiences to draw from before their second one came out.
Yep.
So it's
Yep.
like, which one is going to be more, like, seasoned and varied and, like, complex? Like, who you were for 18 years or who you were for 18 months.
Exactly.
So,
There's still a lot of change, though.
oh, that's definitely true, but, like,
Yeah, but
for
there's-
the average, I would say for most people, that's not the case.
yeah.
So if you're this like self-seeking artist or whatever, that has a lot to draw from, even past stuff, boom, like you're set for a while. But if you're like some band and it took you, 18 years to write 5 songs, it's like you're not going to write another 10 in 18 months. Like,
No, not one's that good anyway.
yeah, definitely.
Because their first albums, like you said, that's like years of
First
writing
album's
right
like,
there.
I was molested and tortured. The second album's like, dude, my dryer broke and I can't dry my clothes, you know? It's
yeah.
like the worst thing that happened to you in these two time periods.
Yeah.
And it's a weird thing too, because like I've heard and talked to artists about how there's almost this pressure to be tortured because then the music's better. Like
Exactly.
someone would be like, oh yeah, like sounds like he's gonna get divorced from his second wife, but oh, the breakup album that he's gonna write's gonna be so good. And it's like it's this weird thing to like condone or approve of or almost be hopeful for like trauma in somebody's life because like, oh, we're gonna get a good record out of this.
Yeah.
The problem is that would be totally true for me. So pray for me to fail and die all the time, and you'll have good shit constantly.
I don't know if I can do that.
That's probably why so many sub personas are created by different artists, like Sasha Fierce and all that, to create more music of theoretical situations in their head to write
Imagine
more.
conflict. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's totally been becoming a bigger part of my writing process because I don't have enough conflict to draw from. Like things have gotten better in my life, so you better hope for my divorce or some bullshit, and then I'll write a really good album again.
Where would you get your influence from then?
I was gonna mention like it's kind of like Pharrell had that huge hit with the song "Happy," and he did that originally for like I think like Despicable Me too. Fuck these little fuckers. Seriously, but he was doing the music, and that song was for just a movie, and he actually wrote it because he was depressed. He's like, I'll just write the happiest song possible. That'll cheer me up. So like he was totally tortured like when he wrote this song, and then it becomes this huge hit outside of the movie, and it kind of recontextualizes things, and that gets weird. And so you almost have to like imagine sort of situations where it's like, well, what if it like if I was happy, or what would it be like if I was happy, or what would it be like if I was pissed off and fallen off a cliff and shattered every bone in my body. It becomes more about storytelling and fantasies than it is about like diary entries.
Yeah, yeah.
It's almost like acting. It's like, well, put on a character in a way.
Like writing a book or a story or something.
Sure, yeah. And character I think is a big part of it. Like to relating to people is having that sort of like ability to almost dramatically perform in the role of somebody. In fact, almost to the point where it's almost like singing, and acting are sort of very similar, where it's like you're putting on like a certain version of a story or perspective to make people feel the way that person feels. So it's weird to, I guess, have that desire to like put on like a mask and be like, well, this is what you would feel like if you were this motherfucker.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I guess that's what I mean when, with why artists put on personas or have songs that are more like fantasies rather than like, this happened to me.
Yeah. Yeah. It's easier to express yourself in that way.
Oscar Wilde, it comes back around again. There's a Oscar Wilde quote where he's like, man is only truly himself when behind a mask. It's like, boom, Oscar Wilde, nailed it, mind
I like
blown.
that. Yeah, no, that's
MC
good.
dropping the mic.
I can understand that. That's why, like, most of the time, for like I feel weird dressing up for Halloween. You know what I mean? But like, if I can wear something that has a mask where you can't see my face and stuff, I feel like I could be like more in character and not care as much. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's weird how I relate things, but like it's kind of like that.
I feel it. There's speaking of putting on characters, a good example of more fantasy storytelling stuff is on the record I'm working on. There's a song called, tentatively, Song from the Spire, and it's totally just like this fantasy story about like, in the story, I'm like this Rapunzel character, Rapunzelius, if you will. And,
like
nobody can come up and see me. I'm in this like really tall tower above like this little medieval village, and if people like come to visit me, they got to go through this little like midget who's like my ward, and like lives with me in the spire. And if people want to come visit me, they have to tickle his feet until he orgasms, because that's his thing. And then the midget's like, actually, I changed my mind. You can't see her. You gotta go. So he just uses like the people of this village for like foot sex. I know. Wow. It's a normal thing. I think people will be able to relate to it. But so no one ever gets to come see me, but I always send these like songs, like, I don't know, like weird singing telegrams, like just down to the town, and like everybody's like impressed with the music and like loves to hear like the beautiful songs of my voice or whatever, and so like that's what draws everyone to come see me. But then when they do come see me, I don't want them to see me, and that's the most perfect metaphor for why I do what I do and how I feel when I do it is like, see me in the music and then just like, let's not talk about it in the real world,
I gotcha.
So it's like, here's you can have the songs version of everything, don't come to me for the truth. And that's what my music is,
No, that makes sense. It's like you're two separate entities.
Yeah, and that's why it's a character. That's why it has a name. So it's not me, this is this other guy's shit.
Yeah. You only exist in this world when you're on.
Boom. Parallel universe, just like that.
Yeah. I like it. It's like I know two of you. It's cool. But I don't know the other person really at all. It's so mysterious.
Don't know. Or do you? And that's why it's mysterious. Because it's a mystery.
It's a never-ending hole of questions.
The never-ending hole. I think that's that new thing at Taco Bell that you got. The unfriendly birth canal.
Oh, wow.
As someone that I may have met in real life calls it.
We should name a new song that.
Right, yeah. Life sends us all out through the unfriendly birth canal. Jesus Christ. Unfriendly, what a complete understating way to state the world. The world is very unfriendly. Thank you, Aunt June.
Yeah, it's a very general thing. You can get many different things from that statement.
The world's just unfriendly. Malaria-stricken child. Don't take it personal.
Yeah.
Absolutely, take life personal.
It's the blanket coat for everything.
Umbrella metaphor.
What would you say is your favorite song to play live?
Ooh, yeah, see, that's a thing. The ones that are the easiest in a weird way, because the ones where I have to focus more or just have a harder time playing, those are kind of take me out of it because I really need to focus on my playing and not like my expressing and like the feeling part of it. And then like the ones where I don't have to do a whole lot musically and can just focus on singing and being present. Those are my favorite ones. So I guess yeah, it's like the songs that are like the simplest. To give an example, there's a song on the record, "Help Yourself," called Utic. That's the official pronunciation. The second track, U-T-I-K.
Utic.
Which people don't know unless they listen to their director's commentary. That's actually an acronym because I don't like generic song titles, like boring song titles like "I Love You," and so their song was actually called the whole phrase "The You That I Know," and then I was like, that's really like. That's too simple, and like that's a song like Kelly Clarkson could have. So it's like, boom, now it's a metaphor. UTIK, you that I know. Now it's a word. People are like, oh, that's abstract. It's like it still stands for something.
No, I like it.
Like it's not just arbitrary. Like I'd never make a song title weird just to be arbitrary. More to just counteract, like, when someone Googles the lyrics or whatever, it's like, if I Google, like, "I love you," like, you're going to get, like, 9,000 songs. It's like, no, just be the definitive guy. When someone says, oh, I like that song Utic, it's like, oh, which one? The one by Meatloaf or the one by Rod Stewart? Or it's like, no, it's like, that's their identity.
Yeah.
It's embedded right into the song title. There's a lot of bands, though, that do, like, weird song titles just to be fucking weird. Like, Fall Out Boy is one of those bands that just, like, has these really crazy, like, convoluted titles that have nothing to do with the song. It's just to sound cool. Like, it'll be, like, some ridiculous shit, like, the title will be, like, oh, they're always really dumb
What is
puns.
it,
Like, Tom Cruise Missile will be, like, the name of the song, and then it'll have nothing to do with the song whatsoever. Or, like,
Well, wasn't it like Simple Plan or something? Or no, I forget. But they had like a whole bunch of messed up song names. Like, our lawyer made me change this. Like that was their song title.
Like Fall of Troy had some too. Like that really had nothing to do with the songs. Like one's called "Cut Down All the Trees and Name the Streets After Them," and like another one is "We Better Learn How to Hotwire a Uterus." Like just random sentences of crazy terms and stuff. Like it's just weird, man.
It is interesting though how naming songs can be like an art, where it's like you can do it simply, so that way, like, because like when you're trying to like guess a song's title, you just go by whatever's repeated the most. But you can get creative and like reject, the most repeated phrase of the song and give it something more like, abstract to still represent it. Instead of just being like facetiously deep and just like naming it this really obscure thing, people are like, how? What does that mean? How does it relate to the song? It's like they know there's nothing, there's no meaning there.
Or like when the title in the song is actually only said once.
Yeah, at least it's in there somewhere though.
Mm-hmm.
But it's kind of funny though how that's cliche in movies. Like if the name of the movie is a piece of dialogue in the movie, it's like,
Yeah.
guess what, motherfucker? You're gonna die hard. And
Yeah.
then, like that shit is so lame. It's like, oh, that's why they named it. So yeah. So it's weird that that's cliche in movies, but that's like super common in music.
Yeah, it's almost expected in music.
We
Yeah.
gotta be able to search it up.
Boom.
What's I've wondered this, and I really haven't read the lyrics or anything, so I don't know. But what's I don't quite know how to say the name of it, but is it Gelop's Land?
Gelobtes Land. It's
What's the story behind that? man?
German. Well, okay. Again, still representative, not abstract for just the sake of being abstract. But Gelobtes Land is just the German phrase for promised land, and it's like
Oh.
I wanted to call the song "Promised Land," but then it was like that's a shitty. Again, it's like a shitty, like cliched song title that won't be distinctive, and so it's like, oh. And then what's really weird is like 2 years after that album came out, like a German band had like a #8 like single with the title "Gelobtes Land," and like
Oh,
it was
wow.
the only other song that had that title other than mine. It's like,
Wow.
So it's just Germany calling me back. Well, not back, rather. Well, in a weird molecular way. Some part of me originated there. Family heritage. So it's weird that I have like a draw to that.
Oh, that's cool. I didn't know that. I should have thought that as much as you.
Yeah. So
More
like I
German
can
out there.
initially I in the song sang the chorus in German, and then I was like, that's kind of hard to relate to, and people might not quite get it or be patient enough for that. So like sometimes when I do it live, and I think on the next tour when I do it live, I'm gonna do like an intro chorus of it in German just to be like, hey, this is what it could be, and then do like the full English version. But it's I don't know. Again, it's something that makes things more challenging and like complex and deep for me. Is like, okay, I'm making the choice to sing this chorus in German. Like, why? And like now, this is something a new dimension to think about, like when performing that song or writing or whatever.
Oh, it adds like a whole nother layer to it. That's cool.
Yeah,
It's like an onion, as Shrek would say.
yeah, it makes you cry.
Oh wow!
Boom.
In a good way. Kind
Sure.
of. Like, who plays with you live? Who's your live band? If they don't mind being mentioned.
On this tour, live, it will just be me doing all the musical stuff, which is how I performed when I toured for my first record. And then for the last album, I had 3 other people, which there were like 3 distinct lineups, but I had 3 other people that played live with me. They were just like friends that were in other bands, and it was really awesome, and I totally loved everybody that was in that incarnation of the band so much. But it just became really tough to work around people's schedule, and this isn't really anything that like pays anyone's bills, so I kind of felt almost guilty, even though they were willing volunteers, just into the music or whatever.
No, that just shows you appreciate it. And whatnot.
I just felt really weird. I was just like, I can't let you guys just do this because you like it. Maybe that's self-deprecating, but and also too, like if I have now to work around 3 people's schedules and somehow get a total of 6 people out of work for like a week or whatever. Coordinating that's so much harder than just being like, okay, I'm gonna go here and play now, and like there's nothing that can stop me other than not wanting to do it.
Yeah.
And so that's how I'm doing this tour. And like if I can find like money to have someone reliably tour with me, like it'll extend to that. But then it's kind of a 2-piece still in a way, because I'm doing all the music stuff, and then Michael Sparks is my production designer, and he does the production half of things, which really is half of the show. So it's almost like more of an artistic collaboration between 2 different people rather than like a band. So he also still lives that sort of volunteer status, but he loves the work, and this is what he wants to do for a living. So it's experience, and it's a good time. So yeah, just being able to travel light and travel cheap. If I had a band, I wouldn't be able to tour, and I'd rather be able to tour than have a band.
No, I understand. So it's just you and him going out on the road then?
Yeah, and a merchandiser person who will sell merchandise. Have to have one of
Merch guy.
those. You gotta collect them coins, Henny.
Cool. So really, it's Like, what should people expect for? Because it seems like it's more of a performance and a show than it is more like a concert. Do you know what I mean?
It's really both things because I think people are starting to. I mean, well, they're totally starting to accept that one dude on stage with some electronics can be a whole act. Like, you go and see like Calvin Harris, and it's just Calvin Harris DJing, and like that one guy is getting all of the money from an entire arena instead of like 8 people. And so like the fact that someone can just fly in with their MacBook and be booked at an arena and just play their set, like that's insane to me. But people are starting to accept like, yeah, we'll still respond to stuff that is only represented by one person. So it's not so traditional for the type of music I make, which is on the more rocky side to be presented live by one person. But it's like just part of the not wanting to have to work around the limitations of other people. But I mean, once there would be a budget involved, I would totally have like a big, huge, full live band because that's sounds better, more variables, more things that can go wrong, which is more exciting. But they just add so much to the sound. We sounded fucking great in 2013 and 2014, and now we sound like shit.
I'm sure you don't sound like shit.
No, it's pretty good.
Somebody putting that much work into something, it can't sound like shit. It may not sound great.
No.
But, I'm just kidding.
I feel you. And like, I've changed the performance style completely because I used to, when it was like me solo the first time, like it was like backing track and I would like play keyboard, play guitar, and like sing. And so the show was very like structured and it was always the same song at the same speed and the same order every night. And then, when you have like a live band or, or whatever, or have like the tools that I use now to improvise, you can make it dynamic and go, all right, tonight this part's going to go on twice as long, or I'm going to start the song with just the piano part instead of, the full thing. So I have a little like DJ controller now where instead of playing a full track, I'm just triggering loops that build up the song. So I can decide at any time, like, okay, we're going to change over to the chorus now, which would be early compared to the recording, or, we're going to do this outro part for twice as long instead of just this. So it's like you can kind of respond to the crowd. And so that's kind of my like replacement for having like a live band to interact with and like be improvisational with. It's the electronic live band.
No, that's way cool. I've seen like guitarists do that. They'll lay out an entire song for you right there in front of you using their pedals and stuff. Like it's really amazing how they do it. They just create it just out of nothing right there.
Right. Yeah, that's what I'm trying to do.
Cool. That's way cool. I like that.
So it's been a huge process to redo like everything for this to work out, but also too, like the video content was the same way. Like it would just play a video that was the same length every night with the same content, and then starting with when Help Yourself came out, it's live video now. Someone's actually back there mixing it, and that's what Sparks is. And that's this clip will go up at this time, and I didn't use this clip of this creepy thing last night. I'm going to use it tonight, and so it's building a live video show as well as live music, and it's an interesting like artistic collaboration. Because even like when a lot of like the big pop acts go out, like their backing videos are like synced to the backing track, which is the same length everything all night because they need that like consistency to have the type performance you need to entertain a venue, or not a venue rather, but an arena. And so we actually are like visual content is live too, which is more chance for mistakes and not quite hitting the mark, and so it's you can kind of just afford to take more improvisational risks than the big person that needs that tight production.
No, I like that. I can appreciate.
We're loose.
That. No, cause it's like it gives it its own distinct feel for that. Like I'd almost feel lucky to be in that audience to see that version of that song. You know what I mean?
I totally feel the same way because there's a lot of bands that do what we do, where the performance is dynamic and different every night and theatrical. And those are the bands that I'll go and see again and again and again. And I think that's why like we've never had a show that wasn't like a solid like 20% more attended than the previous one because people want to come back. Like, everybody has their friend in a bar band that plays out twice a month. And it's like, there's no reason to go see them because once you've seen them, you've seen what they do. It's not going to be different on any night. And, it's always going to be there. You don't need to go to this show because they're playing again in 2 weeks and then 4 weeks and then 6 weeks. So, like, we want what we do to be, like, original, special, like, unique and authentic every time it happens. And if the price of that is playing 4 times a year, then that's what we'll do. I'd rather do 4, like, fucking, like, amazing, different, like, artistically growing shows than to just keep doing the same thing over and over again, like every 2 weeks. Like there'd be no urgency and be like, this is an event, and a spectacle.
I understand that. Yeah, it's kind of like when people bitch and complain about like how shows, like TV shows, have that mid-season hiatus now. But what they don't think about, like they're like, man, now we gotta wait to see the other half of the season. What they don't think about is how much production value is now in these television shows. It's like watching a mini movie every week.
Right.
Like, in order to do that, it takes a lot more effort and a lot more money and time. Like, it's the same thing with that. Like, you can't. I see what you're saying.
Right, yeah.
There's certain things you have to sacrifice in order to make great art consistently.
And that's why, like, touring is great because, like, we don't have to make the show, 50, 75, 100% different every time we play if we're touring, because the people in Indianapolis didn't see the show the night before, so, or whatever. So touring is a little less pressure because then you can kind of have a show that just kind of has different versions and changes and evolves a little bit.
Instead of used to.
Right. Instead of, like, coming out of the gate somehow every night, like, okay, tomorrow's Kent, we got to figure out how to make 50% of the show, like, different and unique, and, it's not so much possible on the road.
Exactly.
So, every time a new tour starts, you kind of just rebuild everything and make it different, because then if you don't, like, what point is there to go see? Like, you might like to go see a movie, but would you go see the same movie twice? Like, not a lot of people would go that second time.
Yeah.
So, to try and give something unique and, defy expectations every time, it's hard to do that and keep playing in the same place over and over again without changing it up.
I'm sure it's appreciated. Like, I'm one of those people that would appreciate the effort of trying to do something new.
Right, and, like, you can, like, it's more fun, too, because you can, like, compare shows and be like, because I've done this with bands that I've seen over, like, multiple nights or, multiple years. They'd be like, oh, this show is better than this show, and they did this at, the show before us, and was, like, a big change, and, like, was, cool that they added this song in the set list, so maybe they'll do it tonight. And, to have people also comparing, like, just your shows against one another as, like, a piece of art, it's just another way to, like, give it more depth and be like, oh, now the other discussion is, like, the live show and how it changes and why it changes.
Yeah, it's almost like comparing different eras of painters.
Yeah,
like,
or different eras of David Bowie. It's like, oh yeah, when I saw him for Ziggy, he was really animated, but then he started doing coke, and that slowed him down for some reason. So yeah, it's like that.
Yeah, 80s Bowie. I wasn't a big fan of 80s Bowie, but like I've grown to like a little bit of it.
I mean, I
think it's the older I get, the more accepting I am of a lot of things I was not down with before, though, too.
I'd agree with that.
Damn. Yeah, Let's Dance, the record has a couple good songs on it, but beyond that, most of the 80s stuff I don't remember liking.
Really, the one that stands out to me, 80s Bowie-wise, is, why can't I...
Wasn't there one called Tonight?
Probably. I know the song, and I kind of like that song, but it's the one with, Ashes to Ashes on it. I can't remember. It's like 1980 or 81.
No, that record's good.
That is a great one. He's like a clown on the front of it.
Yeah,
I love that. That song, Ashes to Ashes, is great. And he, like, that's, like, about Major Tom, too. So he kind of has a little bit of Ziggy Stardust in there. Ziggy Stardust is, like, my favorite era, if you can't tell by the framed record on the wall.
Yeah, for whatever reason, I can't think of what record Ashes to Ashes is off of, but, yeah, it's a good album. Scary Monsters and Super Creeps or something?
I know Scary Monsters is in there. I can't remember Super Creeps. But
it's like Scary Monsters and something.
But yeah, that's a great Bowie record from the 80s. But that's very early 80s. Technically, I would say that's so early in the 80s that would be 70s Bowie.
Yeah. I forgot how good that album is.
It has got, like, I constantly look for that album when I go to, like, the Exchange and stuff.
Yeah, and it's interesting, too, because I would consider myself, again, not as talented, but, someone in the same, like, I want everything to be its own, like, representative, like, era, because, again, that's more to chew, and you can compare the eras. Like, Marilyn Manson continued the David Bowie, like, idea of reinventing, the concept and the personality and the presentation every time you come out with something new. And, there were a lot of bands that did that really well, like Smashing Pumpkins, for the most part did that.
Yeah.
And somewhat newer, but still to be appreciated, like My Chemical Romance always had very distinctive, like, this is what we looked like, sounded like, presented like here, and then on the next album it was totally different.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of like another art form in itself. It's like some bands just, you're Weezer, and you always stay the same, and you're just those guys doing that thing in your street clothes. Or, it's like, oh, on this album, they wore feathers all the time, and they, acted super punk rock and shitty, and they were doing coke, and, they were skinny and wore makeup, and then like the next album, like they totally got super beefy and dressed in like only suits, and it's just again, it's like you can figure out like why these things change.
Foxy Shazam is a great example of a band that
Yeah, there you
progresses
go.
with every single album. Like their first album was very heavy. Second album was like a little more, I guess, radio friendly in a sense, but was still kind of heavy. The third album, they were straight up like he was trying. You could see it, like in the music videos and stuff. He was Freddie Mercury. He was like channeling Freddie Mercury in that performance.
Yeah.
Or the way he was. Like every album they have, if you see a picture of them, they almost look like a completely different band, and their sounds almost completely different. But I can appreciate that. You know what I mean? Like it's people hate it when bands change, but like if they do it in a good way, progression is wonderful. Like
Right.
I can appreciate the hell out of that. Like
It's like Daft Punk.
see, I'm not a big fan, but I appreciate Daft. Not that I don't like them. I just don't really listen to them, so I can't call myself a big fan.
Gotcha.
But I appreciate that they're so different. Like I really appreciate bands that dare to be different, because I'm sick of hearing the same old shit all the time. That's what most of the time why I don't like the radio. But anyway, what about? Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, that was it.
No, I pretty much said everything you were gonna say, right?
Pretty much.
I'm
I
such
feel like
an
it's
asshole.
fairly common that like local bands in a lot of areas are very samey. Like everybody's inspired by the same Avenged Sevenfold bullshit or whatever.
Yeah.
And so a lot of like people's local like scenes tend to stay the same and be very like generic and like homogenous. And then there's the weirdos in every city that are doing something different. And, sort of get to be a big fish in a little pond because they're just doing something like way different from someone else. Like you can only go to like my show and get what I do, around here. Like that's it. And so being distinctive and excelling above that is important to me.
I can dig it. I like to see growth through albums, so I'm curious to see it.
I'm watering that flower, baby. One tear at a time.
I can't wait to see it bloom, sir. As cheesy as that sounds.
You can see me bloom whenever you like for $99 an hour.
Oh, damn, I can't afford that. I can't afford that at all. I wish I could, but I can't. Well, I guess I really
That sounds like it.
Yeah, I guess.
I think so.
If there's anything you'd like to say before we go, sir?
I am, in total, Elias And The Error, and my tour is in March and April for people that live in the Midwest. I have an EP coming out in March and an LP coming out in July, and these are the things that I'm doing with my life for the next year.
There you have it. And I guess with that said, I am Mark. This is Koob, which I'm sure you've seen before, and this is
Koobs.
Elias from Elias and the Error. And thanks for watching, and until next time.